Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast. We are here. We got to talk about those Buckeyes. They just had that big game against Penn State last night. And here to break it down, who's going to be breaking down all the Buckeye games, is our captain, Byron Mitchell. How you doing today, man?
I am doing good. Always doing well after a Buckeye win.
Hey, and Byron already told you guys, Buckeyes did pull it out 38-25 against Penn State. That puts Ohio State 2-0 in the Big Ten Conference, and Penn State 0-2. So you know how we break down the Buckeye games. We talk about what we like, what we didn't like, and what can be improved. So Byron, first things first, what did you like about this game?
Again, like I said last week, I just love Justin Fields, man. Has some, he's just very athletic and just can make a play out of nothing. There was one play when it looked like he was about to fall down, but somehow he got a pass off. I think it was to the tight end and got a first down out of it, which is just amazing. He had a great game, 28 out of 34 for 318 yards and 4 touchdowns. Just a almost perfect game. So that was, and I like that our running back, Master T, stepped up. He had 110 yards and a touchdown. So Justin Fields didn't have to run as much as he did the first week. So I'm very happy that our running game stepped up.
Hey, I completely agree. And you already just went over Justin Fields' stat line. 28 for 34, 318 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And Master T running the ball 23 times, 110 yards, and 1 touchdown. Even Trey Sermon, he had 13 carries for 56 yards. So I think he's starting to get his legs about him, getting used to the OSU offense. I'm surprised you didn't bring up your receivers, Chris and Mr. Wilson.
Second game with both over 100 yards receiving. That is very impressive. Chris Olave had 2 touchdowns. He had an amazing catch for his first touchdown, which I didn't think he was going to catch, but he pulled it down. So, such a just a great game all around.
Oh yeah, and even Jeremy Ruckert had 2 touchdowns as well. And I think another thing that I liked outside of the offense was the defensive line. They were really getting to Penn State. Like Sean Clifford, he's usually a runner. He can run, but we held him to like 5 yards with all the sacks.
I was going to just agree. Yeah, he didn't get to run like he did against Indiana, so I'm glad our defense stepped up and stopped the run because of the huge difference from 210 yards rushing for Indiana and then 44 yards rushing for Penn State.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. And even Sean Clifford over there, he went 18 for 30, 281 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Is there something that during the game you didn't like from the Buckeyes?
I would say our kicking was weird. We're usually automatic with field goals. Blake Hobble missed one, and then he got set. Ryan Day sat him down in favor of, I forget the backup kicker's name.
Dominic.
But he missed 1 out of 2. So just a weird kicking night for Ohio State. And I don't agree that Blake Hobble should have been sat down after missing 1. So that was just a strange coaching decision by Ryan Day.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I didn't really like particularly in that game was the kicking game, missing 2 field goals. We can't be missing field goals going down the stretch because we know where we want to go. We want to get back to the college football playoffs. And those points are going to matter when we're going against like a Clemson or an Alabama. So we can't be missing chip shots. I guess it doesn't really mean it's something I didn't like, but something I saw that Dotson was just killing us.
Dotson had an amazing day yesterday. I think he had like 144 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He had all of Sean Clifford's touchdowns, and he probably right now already has the free catch of the year on the one-handed catch that he did on Sean Wade. So, but it is what it is. I also felt like this game, it was 38-25. So it seemed relatively close, but it felt like we were in control the majority of the game. There was no real fear of loss to me. What did you think?
Oh no, we controlled that game from the end. From the first drive, it was 3 plays and a touchdown because Garrett Wilson had a 62-yard run to start off the game. Just like started fast and just didn't take our foot off the pedal.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like we were up 14-0 real quick. I was even shocked that Penn State went for it on that 4th down early in the first quarter, but they felt like they couldn't stop us, and if they couldn't score, that they were just going to get blown out. We did have that goofy kneel call, whatever, at the end of the second quarter that was able to give Penn State 3 points, and then they came out, scored a touchdown quickly. But Penn State, I felt, was one of those teams where if they had their whiteout, this game would have been a lot closer.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Not having their whiteout and then playing this Ohio State team where everyone in the country knows what our mission is. We want to get back to the playoffs. We want the way we lost to Clemson, that is hanging on over our heads, and we want to rectify that wrong. So everyone just knows that we're on a mission, and if you can't hang, you're gonna get blown out.
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I thought Penn State could hang.
Mm-hmm.
And they had even though they lost against Indiana, they had a great game, but that was just a different Penn State team last night.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no real fear of loss, especially when you think about the past 4 Penn State games, some of them being decided by 1 to 2 points or 10 below. So anytime we played this team, we were like, oh, this is going to be something. So maybe it's just a test to our coaching and our determination and them not having a whiteout. And then puts us to 2-0. We have Rutgers next Saturday. I don't think we're in any fear of losing that game. Hopefully the Buckeyes don't take their foot off the gas and just take them out as quickly as possible.
I agree. I just hope that we are not looking forward and just because we have after a big win like this, we usually have a game. The next game is usually like where we lose. I just hope that it's not that because we can't afford a loss.
Nope, no losses. And depending on how the opponent after Rutgers plays this Saturday, Indiana, who we talked about how Indiana beat Penn State, and Indiana plays Michigan this Saturday while we play Rutgers. If Indiana beats Michigan, we're looking at an undefeated OSU team versus an undefeated Indiana team. And that's a ranked opponent, potentially, that we were not expecting to have on our resume, which could be really good for us.
It would be really, really good for us because originally we were supposed to have Penn State and Michigan are our only 2.
Yep.
But the way Michigan's playing, I don't know if they will be ranked by the time we play them. So hopefully Indiana could stay ranked.
But you brought them up. Let's talk about Michigan. Michigan was playing Michigan State. Michigan this year was a 21-point favorite over Michigan State. And instead of being a 21-point favorite, they lost the game outright to Michigan State. When you saw that score, what was going through your head?
I was shocked. I didn't watch the game because I just expected Michigan just to blow out Michigan State. In our group chat, you guys were like, "Oh, Michigan's losing." I'm like, "What? How?" Because Michigan just lost to, not Michigan. Michigan State just lost to, what was their first game? Maryland? Rutgers. They just lost to Rutgers. And no offense to Rutgers, but they have not been a good Big Ten team since they have started. But so just to see a team that lost to Rutgers beat Michigan makes Michigan look very, very weak.
Yeah, and Michigan was just coming off that big Saturday night primetime game win over Minnesota, but now we're questioning if Minnesota's any good because they just lost again as well to Maryland. And Michigan, Jim Harbaugh now is 1-6 at home against Ohio State and Michigan State. And for people who don't realize, too, this isn't Mark D'Antoni's Michigan State. This is a new head coach, and his first win at Michigan State was against Michigan. We bring it up amongst ourselves with Michigan and Harbaugh not living up to expectations. He's the third highest paid coach in college football with no conference championships, no conference championship appearances, no BCS wins, and no playoff appearances, and obviously no national championships. What does Michigan do with this guy? Do they just keep riding this wave, waiting for us to have a little decline, or what do they do?
I've said this before. I think they just need to cut ties with Jim Harbaugh. I think this is like his 7th year at
something like that.
Michigan, and he, like you said, has no accolades to his name. Like, he's beaten Ohio State once.
No, Jim Harbaugh is 0 against Ohio State.
0 never mind. He hasn't beat Ohio State. He's beat Michigan State once. I think that it's time to cut ties and find his replacement.
Yeah, it'd be a thing, too, if he was beating Ohio State, getting to Big Ten championship games, winning a couple Big Ten titles. But he hasn't even been to any of those, which I think is baffling when I look at his stuff. There was that one year where they were the number 3 team in the country, and we beat them on the Curtis Samuel walk-off.
Wow.
But besides that year, I don't think they've been too good. 2 years ago, when they were on the revenge tour and our defense was the worst defense ever, the game before we played Michigan, we beat Maryland 51-50 because they went for it for 2 and we stopped them.
Uh-huh.
And everyone in Columbus was like, oh, this is the game. We're going to get killed by Michigan.
Yep.
And I think it was Urban Meyer's last game against me. I think we dropped around 60-something on them.
I think it was 63.
So, yeah, 63. And I don't know. It's just, what's their standard? Do they want to beat us? Do they want to be back in national contention? And we talk about Michigan. I know we talk about Ohio State because that's what we talk about here. But Michigan's that other thing of Ohio State. There are eternal rivals. There are years we need them to be good to help us get over some teams in the college football playoffs, back in the and
this was one of those years where we needed them to be good, and they're not this year.
Yeah, with only 8 games, we need as much ranked wins as we could possibly get, especially if you're looking across the country. Notre Dame plays Clemson while we're playing Rutgers, and I expect Clemson to win, but if Clemson loses,
I don't know about Clemson. I mean, you expect Clemson to win, but they struggled against Boston College, so I'm not too sure how they're going to do against Notre Dame.
That could have also been a look ahead. They were looking ahead.
That's true.
If you watch Notre Dame, they were struggling a bit against Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame they don't usually typically win these big games.
That's true.
Recent memory, I know they had that big one against Georgia a year or 2 ago, and they didn't come out on top of that. But Clemson, they're going to Notre Dame. It's going to be the biggest game there in a while. Trevor's not playing. I still see Clemson winning. I hope Clemson wins. The reason being, these 2 teams can meet again in the ACC championship game. And if Clemson were to lose now, but then beat Notre Dame there, the committee is going to be like, Notre Dame's only lost to Clemson in the ACC championship game, and they already beat Clemson. And God forbid we have a loss, then we're going to have a problem.
Yeah, we can't afford to lose, especially with teams like Alabama and Clemson that everyone favors over Ohio State. We can't afford a loss.
Yeah, that's why we're going to harp it every week. We can't lose in this type of season. If you even look at the polls now, Georgia got thrashed by Alabama, but they're right there at 5. So that's dangerous. And we won't get the first college football playoff committees for a while because now you got the Pac-12 starting, but I don't expect anyone to come out of the Pac-12. They haven't been they've been irrelevant in the big scheme for a while.
Yeah.
But that's why we always say take care of your business so that you don't leave it to chance. When we leave it to chance, it doesn't always bode well for us. We just gotta do what we gotta do. I know we'll be watching that Clemson Notre Dame game closely just for the national stuff.
Yep.
And what do you got predicting final score wise for us and Rutgers this Saturday?
Ooh. Let's see. We scored 38 this week. We scored 45 last week?
I was 50. I thought it was 56. I thought it was.
It could have been 56. We've been scoring a lot. I'm going to say 45-10.
Okay. I think I'm going to go 54-17.
54-17, okay.
54-17. If Justin Fields has another game where he has 4 to 5 touchdowns, no picks, I really gotta think that the national committee is looking at him as a Heisman front runner, even though we've started after everyone else.
I think he's making his case for the Heisman this year. He missed only one pass last week. And he had 4 touchdowns and over 318 yards. I think he's making his case for a Heisman.
We gotta keep him safe. They had it on game day. He's living by himself with his dog Uno. Just gotta make sure he doesn't get any COVID. We can't have a situation that Wisconsin's QB had an amazing start and then the next day he has COVID and now he has to be out. And I'm really praying that Wisconsin can get it under control because currently they have 22 players.
22 players.
Tested positive, and they're going to talk Tuesday if they're going to play. They had to cancel this last game against Nebraska, and if they have to cancel 2 games in a row, that's 2 out of 8 games.
Yeah, that's not looking good for Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I don't want it to come our way. We're trying to do we have aspirations. We want to get this title, so we need to keep everyone as clean as possible in these times.
Yes, I definitely agree, but I do like that he is living alone. Like you say, he's trying to do everything he can not to catch COVID and help us win that national championship.
Yep. Living alone, doing online classes, and has his dog, goes to practice, takes care of business, and then here we are. Byron, you got anything else you want to say about the Buckeyes?
I think me and my brother were talking about this yesterday after the game. I think we can actually run the table. Our next biggest game will probably be Indiana. But I think we'll win that one too.
Oh, yeah.
I think they had a graphic yesterday during the game, like the percentage against each opponent that we have left. I think they were all over like 85%. So I think we have a good chance to run the table and go to that Big Ten championship this year.
Yeah, right now, the way we're playing, I still think we can even get better. I don't see anyone in the Big Ten beating us as long as we take everyone seriously.
Yes.
As long as we don't have a sloppy game, put ourselves in the hole. As a Buckeye fan, we've come accustomed now, which is bad, to that one game where we just get smoked by someone we're not supposed to get smoked by. And we're not talking 10-point losses. We're talking 30, 29-point losses we've experienced the past couple of years to teams like Purdue and Iowa.
Yes.
And that's something we cannot have in an 8-game season.
I feel like we have a renewed passion this year after what happened to us against Clemson. Because I know that's one of the main reasons Justin Fields came back, because he didn't want his college career to end with such a loss like that. So I think the whole team as a whole has that common goal to get back to the national championship. So I think we'll take every opponent seriously.
That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do to win. What we got to do. And I agree. We take everyone seriously. We'll run the table. We'll be in the college football playoff. If we don't take everyone seriously and don't play with a sense of urgency, if we don't take COVID serious, since the Big Ten is 3 weeks, that could be, if we don't have Justin Fields potentially for like 3 weeks, that could be bad no matter how good we are. So we just got to do all the things we got to do right now and get to that Big Ten championship game and then get to the playoff.
Yes. No looking ahead.
Nope, no looking ahead. Next opponent each week is 0-0. We're trying to go 1-0 each week.
Yes, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Well, I think that wraps it up for our Buckeye recap episode. Thank you, Cap, for being the Buckeye guy, recapping these games with me. We got to find a time to try and recap the Rutgers game, since this week is a big week for the L7C.
Big week for the L7C. Let's go.
So we will. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna be back. We won't miss the episodes. Just it might come out a little later than usual because we got some big things this weekend for the L7C.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Take care, and as always,
go Bucks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.